Well, hello everyone. This is Monday, June 27th, 2022. I am Dr. Ella Thorpe. This is Ask the Doctor or Talk to the Doctor. We are Tustin Longevity Center. We meet every Monday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And this is educational. This is not meant to be personal management of your healthcare question, but rather generalized suggestions as to how a physician would treat both the uh, functional integrative approach, complementary alternative way, along with standard of care. We are a clinic here in Tustin, California, Southern California. And we have 6 physicians who work here, maybe soon to be 7. And we will be meeting and doing our clinical rounds every month. And we will be discussing cases and progress or new things in the field of both standard medicine research and alternative breakthroughs. And bring our several years of experience together to try and give our patient base the best service we can. And so we are on YouTube. You can type in your questions if you're logged into YouTube, and just type them in and I will try to answer them the best I can. Sometimes I have to take notes and get back to questions. And my questioners keep me busy on top of a busy schedule, but that's okay. That's what I signed up for. So I have some questions starting to build up, and I'll begin with Debbie. Debbie says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. I have heard someone say that when you do chelation, chelation is taking the IV intravenous EDTA, ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. That's what we give to pull lead out of children who have lead toxicity from accidentally eating lead-based chips of paint or on their toys and stuff, or in their water and so forth. We give this to adults because we have found EDTA does fabulous anti-aging, microcirculation, perfusion, enhancement from your brain to your toe, not to mention cardiovascularly. And we have many studies on this. So we have the National Institute of Health's studies on it as well, head by Dr. Lamas, who he himself, a cardiologist, head of Cedars-Sinai, agrees that probably the number one thing you can get for helping you with cardiovascular disease, especially if you've had a heart attack, that there is nothing better to do. There is no drug they can prescribe or procedure they could do than to give you EDTA chelation therapy. But again, that is an FDA-approved drug, amino acid that is created. So it's a drug, and it is expired on the patent. And so it's just like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. It's not going to make any drug company any more money. So since Abbott gave up the patent on it, I think in the late 60s, it has been thrown to the junk heap of medicines and is not taught. But anyway, it's fabulous. So the question is, does it deplete the body's copper and other good minerals? Is this true? Thanks. And the answer is no. So again, I remind you that I'm almost 70, so at least 67, 8 years ago, when I saw my grandfather in Chicago with ischemic chest pain, my father, who was in food research, learned about chelation therapy because the cardiologists there were talking about its benefits. So this is the 1950s when it was still FDA approved. And so he got my grandfather chelated. And I saw my grandfather when I was 7, fearfully clutching his chest, trying to put a little tablet of nitroglycerin under his tongue and relieve his angina. And he did so well after chelation, I never saw him do that again. He continued to always chelate some all his days, and then he lived long enough to see me go to medical school. So that's from age 7 to medical school. That's another, 15 years roughly. Yeah. Anyway, so no, it doesn't pull your minerals out. And we have this myth that it does, but it doesn't. And it's in the training, it's in the teaching. Sometimes there's lots of benefits to giving a good multi-mineral vitamin with a therapy, especially in alternative medicine. So we teach this in ACAM, the American College for the Advancement of Medicine. But truly, we've really, and I have never seen in all the years, and remember, I've seen chelation practiced with intimate family members, including my parents and my sisters and myself since I was 16 years old. I've never seen mineral depletion. But we still give a multi-mineral, that for many other reasons. And the science and the development of these nutrients are so much better than they used to be years ago. But that is a myth, and I have never seen that. Yes, we do give a multi-mineral, but there's other reasons for it as well. We're generally trying to give your body more minerals, micronutrients, B vitamins that are water soluble. You know, you pee them away every day, not so much the minerals. And that helps with so many metabolic functions. So by taking something every day, we just make a good broad spectrum multivitamin mineral. And we've learned other specialty things to give you, like ubiquinone, CoQ10, other methylated Bs for homocysteine reduction and enzymes. But no, I haven't seen that. Debbie also asks, what is the perfect triglyceride to HDL level? Remember, triglycerides are biochemically a glycerol molecule. It has 3 connections, 3 carbons, and it has a chain of fatty acids hanging on it. When you eat too many starch, carb, bread, fruit, sugar, pasta, beans, rice, crackers, cookies, pancakes, cereal, whatever it is, soda pop, juice, smoothies that are too full of sugars and sweets, your body can't burn that all off. And so you have hormones secreted, enzymes secreted to help you digest this. But sugar is absorbed immediately for the most part, carbohydrates, fruit sugars. And so the insulin shoots out to get it picked up into the cells for metabolism. And if they can't do that, then those triglycerides are going to be built up from the sugars. So carbohydrates generate the fat called triglyceride, and it is stuffed into fat cells. So the fat cells get bigger and bigger. And the thing is, if you're good cholesterol, which is generally called HDL, high density lipoprotein, that's the name of the protein carrier for fats of cholesterol and triglyceride molecules, because fat doesn't dissolve in water. So God made this protein ship, and that protein ship is called a lipoprotein, and it carries these triglycerides around and the cholesterol around, cholesterol esters, and delivers them all over the body to heal cell membranes, to transport energy, triglycerides, and so forth. Now, if you have a ton of triglycerides, then you are going to have less HDL because the very low density lipoprotein carriers are so full of triglycerides. The protein is called very low density because it's so fatty, fat will float to the top of water. High density lipoproteins means there's less triglycerides in it, and it's more dense and won't be as big and fluffy. Now, the LDL particle that is the only one I really am concerned about is the HDL, and we like them to be equal in levels. We want the triglycerides and the HDL to be the same level. So what is a good number? I would say 50. Triglycerides at 50, HDL at 50. Exercise brings up HDL and brings down triglycerides because you burn the energy and you're building up healthier protein carrier ship lipoprotein, high density lipoproteins. So you want those two numbers to be a ratio of 1 or less. So you don't want your triglycerides so high that you could divide the HDL into it and it goes 1.5 or 2 times, 3 times. That's horrible. So you want a low triglyceride number. You want it to be equal with your HDL. VS says, hi, Dr. Rita. Have you checked out KSM66? Yes, I did. And it looks like it's a good product. It does have clinical studies and quite a few. KM66 is research on ashwagandha, primarily a type of ashwagandha, because there's several of them, but this type has been put into clinical research looking for helping with mood, helping with sleep, helping with anxiety, relaxation, um, better cognitive function. And so, yeah, I was impressed with it, VS. So, yeah, KSM 66 is apparently a good product from the research that I've read on it, and I'll keep that in mind. Carol says, I know you're really busy, but did you have a chance to look up? Yes, I did. Dr. Zach Bush's 4-minute workout. It recharges me. Yeah, Dr. What was his first name? Dr. Mark Zach. Anyway, I already threw the little paper thing away. Dr. Zach, if you put ZACH, just doctor, on YouTube, you'll see his 4-minute workout come up on YouTube. And what he's saying there is by exercising, you're getting breathing that is deeper. And so you're filling in the bottom parts of your lung and getting that added kick in with your oxygenation. Dr. Zach is a medical doctor. And then this stress of a brief burst of exercise for 4 minutes, and you could do that once, twice, 3 times a day, that will improve the production of nitrous oxide, which will vasodilate, which will help blood perfusion, and your muscles will then have more circulation and perfusion so that they can take up more oxygen and they can grow and bulk up and help support you faster. So yes, Carol, that Dr. Bush is very good. And I have always asked my patients who are starting to get back into training to start with waking up in the morning and before they allow themselves their first cup of coffee or whatever their first reward is of the morning, to do a 7-minute workout was what I had, which was a set of 3 kind of similar exercises to do. But mine also involved some sit-ups for core strength. But anyway, long and the short of it is, if you do some, marching in place, squats, raising your arms above your head, and if you do some sit-ups, I think you should do some sit-ups. And you don't have to do 9,000 of them. If you did 10 sit-ups, 5 sit-ups, and then turn over before you stand up and do 5 push-ups for the girls, push-ups from the knees, and then stand up and march in place for 20, 30 seconds as fast as you can. Take some deep breaths, then sit back down, do 5 more sit-ups, roll over, 5 more push-ups, and so forth. And you can extend it to 6, 10 push-ups, whatever you want. But to do 3 sets of those, that is such a beautiful way to say thank you to your body for all the wonderful things it does for you and getting it ready for the day. And then you have your nice big glass of water, any of your supplements, enzymes, and thyroid or whatever you take. Then you can have your hot cup of coffee or something. So yeah, I did look up Dr. Zach's 4-minute workout. Yay, I did it. All right, Nora said, hi, Dr. Rita, what are your thoughts? Stomach digestion problems and sinus due to the mold. Have a nice week. Love you. What are your thoughts? Stomach digestion problem and sinus due to the mold. Anybody who fasts it keeps their stomach as empty as long as you can before you have to eat. If you could learn to work yourself to eat in a restricted time frame, even once a day, just eating in a 1-2 hour framework of time, that's going to give your stomach 22 hours of healing time, and your whole body as well. And so that will lower usually blood sugars because you're not going to have tons of carbs, hopefully. You'll have maybe a modest amount of complex carbs. And that tends to starve out yeast and molds in your body, and it builds up your immune system, your autophagy, where you eat up any bad old cells. If you're taking enzymes that help clear out inflammatory old cellular debris, if you're drinking enough water, if you are low carb, then your immune system will become much better behaving, and it will discover and tag anything that has been attacked by mold in your body. The other thing is Argentyn silver is very, very good. Argentyn silver, I often squirt that up my nose. I put a drop of it in my eyes at night often before I go to bed. I will brush my teeth and take a sip out of the bottle and swish and then swallow it often, just so that I'm keeping the bacterial count to the openings in my face and mouth diminished. And then I do chelation with high-dose vitamin C. High-dose vitamin C helps to get rid of, phthalates and benzene rings and those kind of toxins from the environment. But the high oxygen hydrogen peroxide that vitamin C will convert to does kill off molds. So everything we do here is an anti-mold, and by eating less frequently, it is a stomach healing phenomena. Of course, you need to find out your blood type, and if you're older, if you're above 55, 60, you probably need digestive enzymes whenever you eat, no matter what your blood type. But A's should start digestive enzymes from their youth on, even as a child. Nora says, your thoughts about, and then I don't see any question there, Nora. It just says your thoughts about. So maybe you wrote it later on. Cindy goes and asks, hi, Dr. Rita, what do you think about drinks sweetened with stevia? For example, Vitamin Water Zero, Body Armor Light, etc. Well, I'm not against stevia, but I want to ask the question, why do you always have to have a flavor or an entertainment to anything that goes in your mouth? I think we are so easily marketed to, and that's where the danger is. If there has to be a performance of entertaining taste or a thrill when we take something, outside of coffee, I don't think I drink anything except a rare, a sip of wine. What else? I would say that's all I do. And I'm trying to stay away from putting flavors. I remember when I always had to have cream in my coffee. I thought I could never like coffee without cream in it. But I do, as soon as I saw dairy on my food allergy list. So it isn't to say I wouldn't occasionally have some dairy in a coffee or something or in my diet. It's just to say I have turned my mouth and my taste buds into just being happy that I'm fed and grateful for the, celebrations that I'm invited to and can enjoy legitimately, as long as it isn't a party every weekend or every other weekend. I think we should all be able to enjoy something at least once or twice a month. And so I'm not against stevia, but why do we have to have something sweetened? So as long as it's under control and it's not controlling you, then I'm going to say stevia seems to be something acceptable as far as a plant sugar. Then what else? Dorothy says, have have I heard of monkeypox? Yes, I've heard of monkeypox for years and years and years. And in the military, when I was on active duty, we were aware of it. And we had soldiers that were in Africa and the Middle East. And so we were certainly aware of it. Many of my pilots were flying in and out of there. And yes, they would fly home to me and to my little clinic, and I would see them and I would take care of them. Not that they had monkeypox, but they were flying in areas that would have it. And I never lived in fear, and I never feared for giving it to my children. Just like with AIDS patients, that we had military and retired military or, you know, medically retired for AIDS. And I didn't live in fear that I was going to pick up some virus from doing normal clinical work with my AIDS patients. Never ever feared it like they tried to make us be afraid. And so monkeypox is a double-stranded DNA virus like polio, and like varicella is a DNA double-stranded. And so these are very, very hard to replicate and mutate and duplicate in another human being. And it appears that it's only in the behavior of sexual contact that we're finding it emerge. And therefore, close mucous membrane exposures is what will do this. And it's extremely rare, and I am not worried about it at all. Let's see, what else? Carol says, what do you think of hyperbaric chambers for healing? Thanks so very much. I like hyperbaric. In fact, I'm trying to get one here in next door to our IV suite and go up, you know, at least 1.5 atmospheres to drive oxygen in deeper throughout the body. There are many known benefits. It's well established for healing, especially in diabetics with slow healing post-surgical treatments, trauma, ulcers, and so forth. So yeah, I'm all in favor of it. You have to have a doctor, you know, order this and apply it, and you lie in these chambers for about an hour. And it really is better if you do it with chelation therapy, because if you take chelation therapy, it opens up your microcirculation. And so when you go in the chamber after that and rest, nap for an hour, you are going to then have a deeper penetration of the oxygen throughout your body. So yeah, I'm in favor of hyperbaric oxygen treatment. Let's see, what else? Debbie says, hi, Dr. Rita. What would you say is a good vitamin D level for women 60, 70 years old? Well, I would say I like to be right around 100 micrograms per deciliter, 100. That's what I like. How can someone have a 4 vitamin D level? Well, because, you know, they're not, it could be lab error. I don't think I've ever seen a vitamin D as low as 4. I've seen it like an 8 or a 12. I think it's possible to be a 4. And so it must be, you know, the geostratospheric engineering where they've been doing weather control. I remember Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1964, I think it was, when he was talking about weather engineering of the atmosphere. And whoever controls the weather controls food, and whoever controls food controls the world. I remember my dad saying that. There's a video of him saying that, and that's on a YouTube video called The Dimming, D like in dog, DIMMING, The dimming. So they're spraying all these lines in the sky, and this is just hundreds of thousands of tons of heavy metal oxides that are tiny little particulate metals. And they're spraying it up in the upper atmosphere. And this is when a electromagnetic wave hits it, it bounces it back allegedly to control heat. And but if you send from the ground, from the Earth base, if you have a microwave that you send out a wave pulse that hits that metallic thin umbrella that's over an area, you can heat it up and create a swell, and that'll change the cloud motion and the humidity, and you can change and guide weather that way. This is old data. We did this in Vietnam. This was done to create monsoon rains, and so there are thousands of science research published articles on geoengineering for weather control for military purposes to control populations. And so those heavy metals are up there, and they are preventing the ultraviolet light from hitting your skin. And therefore, I don't care if you're out on the beach, even sometimes you're not going to get enough vitamin D, even if you're the lifeguard. Why? Because I have taken Newport Beach lifeguards' vitamin D levels, and they're not impressive at all. And it ruins your immune system, which makes you more susceptible to their alleged outbreaks of whatever if you fall for that. I can sell you some bridges to the Sahara. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I think it's the Geostratospheric Engineering Watch, the dimming. The name of the website is called geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org. And that's been there for about 20 years by a Dane Wigington, W-I-G, W-I-N-G-I-N-G-T-O-N, Wigington. Yeah, Dwayne. And one of my pilots, when I was a flight surgeon, helped point me in the direction of looking at his work. Anyway, because I used to take care of C-130, cargo transport pilots and their crews and their crew chiefs, both active duty and reserves, and this was no secret, and it was astonishing. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? So that's the vitamin D question. Now, Carol then goes on, I saw Dr. Malone with Gert Vandenbosch on TV channel 1241 NTD, 1241 NTD, discussing the shot. I was really happy to see. Well, yes, Dr. Malone at Stanford here and elsewhere was foundational in helping lay the groundwork for the creation of the mRNA technology. That technology was originally discussed and promoted even from the late 1990s. It first had some real hard publications around 2002. There's a doctor by the name of, what is his name? Richard Fleming, F-L-E-M-I-N-G. Dr. Richard Fleming. He's a PhD, MD, and a lawyer. Anyway, so he's a cardiologist and a nuclear medicine specialist. And so I think his undergraduate was in physics. But anyway, so he's a very published man. And he also tracked the patents. There's a Dr. David Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N, and he has tracked all the patents, and his whole program is patent monitoring for the past 40 years, and he has watched the nefarious patent evolutions. And yes, these mRNA technologies were sold to us originally to be some great cancer breakthrough, to patch one genetic defect, and then help save someone with some sort of cancer. And if that is true, if it is true, I have never seen it amplified to other people, or it was such a rare cancer or disease. It was so isolated. I'm happy for whoever it benefited, but I don't think that was ever the real goal, because if you look at the real goal in some of these patents, it was much more ubiquitous application for changing, genetically modifying animals, okay, for agriculture, and that includes you and me. So I guess they consider us animals. Anyway, I think it's very important to be informed. Dr. David Martin, if you want all the legal, lawyer, patent research, it's out there. Dr. Richard Fleming, if you want all the expose on the patent implications upon society, meaning gene modification. And Dr. Malone, who was some of the originator, who then was appalled to see this research taken off in such a bad manner and application. And he has been a voice with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the Children's Health Defense, which is a very excellent organization. They put out a bi-weekly, and then they have a CHD TV on the internet. They have very good interviews. There is a website they have, and they put out Children's Health Defense newsletter. The Brownstone Institute is another excellent gatekeeper for many, many critical peer-reviewed things that are not captured by financial influence. So there's lots of things that we could look at and gain good understanding of, and realize the tragedy of what we've been subjected to. All right, VS says, hello, Dr. Rita. Say, I'll be shifting to a job that requires traveling in about 6 months. Might be compulsory to take any COVID vaccine to travel. Well, then I don't think that company is worth working for. If they think your human body is so trivial, like an animal, that you're replaceable, and they'll just get someone else who will let them treat their bodies like animals, then I wouldn't work for that company, whatever the company is. We have to take a stand, VS, and we have to say they don't know the long-term effects. They don't know the short-term effects. They are not doing adequate reporting, and in fact tried to hide 75 years worth of the original trial data from Pfizer that have only been by a court order released, and they're giving it to us piecemeal. There's 3,000 of us who are going through this paperwork painstakingly with Naomi Wolf's organization, and putting it in subsections with lawyers, doctors, nurses, healthcare, compliance, experienced people. And we're seeing such grievous falsehoods, cover-ups, and falsifications of efficacy and cover-up of damage. So how can I recommend this? I cannot give informed consent. How can a company demand you to take an experiment? None of this is FDA approved. And FDA means nothing today. I give the FDA an F. It has failed in their fidelity to the people of the United States. It is a corporation now controlled by corporate entities, monopolies, and the sellouts who are part of the FDA have sold their soul to the devil, in my opinion, for money and a position in some board on some pharmaceutical or other regulatory department as a reward for faithfully passing through and winking and turning their heads at certain things. So the FDA, the CDC, and the NIH and the HHS are all captured bureaucratic organizations blowing billions of dollars that only benefit and promote the wealth and progress of certain pharmaceuticals into titans that control our news media, pay for advertising, and shape the opinions of people. This is not science, this is propaganda. I wouldn't do it, VS. Cindy says, what is erythritol? Is it safe for you? It's a plant sugar. It's a name for a plant sugar group, and it has a sweet taste. It usually is associated with feeding gut bacteria and giving them gas, giving you gas. It's not necessarily that it's a harm, but it does tend to imbalance your gut bacteria that produce a lot of gas. You'll have a lot of gas if you use a lot of erythritol. So outside of that, if it's in a small candy or a small little flavoring occasionally, I think it's fine. But we get lazy through marketing and we buy these bags of junk food or junk health food. We need a new term. It's called junk health foods. And this is just marketing. And, you know, behind it are all these corporations like General Mills and Kellogg and Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Nestle's. All these big corporations are behind these marketing and financing of very much a large group of what is you think is health food. Via says, anything I could do other than praying to minimize the damage? You know, tell them you are a sovereign citizen. You have rights. The Constitution gives you sovereignness over your body, and the corporation has no right to discriminate. Demand the science that says you are a threat, that the unvaccinated are a threat. Demand to see the science. They can't produce it. It's not there. And they won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Hire a lawyer, go to Children's Health Defense, Dr. Siri is his name, Esquire, S-I-R-I. He's excellent. He has already won cases for people. And I would not take it. I would not take it. And finally, I would not take it. Put the onus on them. Prove that their discriminatory employment tactics against you are based on true science that the unvaccinated are a threat to the vaccinated. And the reverse is the truth. All right. Debbie says the coronary calcium heart scan has a score of 0 to 400. What would be a way to lower the scan score? Is there an average score? Well, it goes from mild, which I think is 0 to 99. I think 99 to 200 is moderate. 200 to 299 is moderately severe, and 300 to 400 is severe, something along that range. And there is no average. What you want is 0. And now I see enough patients that are 0 in my practice. And these are people who keep their triglyceride carbs low and their HDL the same. These are usually people who are eating in a time-restricted zone. they are drinking enough water and they exercise and they don't smoke. So I think EDTA chelation has been shown in studies and anecdotals with doctors that have had that know about chelation therapy. Vitamin K2 with your D, so we use the K-force to help mobilize and lift off calciums. I have seen calcium scores go down significantly. And then, so with chelation, vitamin D, K2 of high quality, the low carb diet, exercise, getting enough sleep, taking systemic enzymes, and then I think hormones, that's, I think, the key with exercise. Let's see. Carol says, thanks so much for all you do and informing us what's really going on. Amen. Glory to God. I thank the Lord that he helps me to stay informed. VS, all right, doctor, I'll not take the new position. Hallelujah, VS. God has a way to support you. I will write you a letter if necessary. I will engage with you with Esquire series from the Children's Health Defense or anything I can do to help defend and protect the health of my patients. So there you go. And Linda says, hi, doctor. I have a bone spur in my left heel, and it started hurting on May 28th. Is there anything I could take over the counter for the inflammation? I'm 71. Yes, water, okay? Water, and then more water, and then finally add more water onto the water. Whatever your weight is, let's say you're 150 pounds, half of that is 75. So you need 75 ounces of water a day, every single day. Number 2, you should take systemic enzymes, Vascuzyme, Vitalzyme, and take it as 5 twice a day. First thing in the morning with a big glass of water, last thing at night with a big glass of water on an empty stomach. And then you could take a soft roll and roll your foot on it while standing, or get a little 2x4 and put your toes on it and then lean forward and stretch the bottom of your feet so that your tendons pull on those spurs to crack them up. And then take K-force. K-force has vitamin D with K2 that helps immobilize the calcium deposits. Then the enzymes will help disinflame it and the water will wash it away. So stretching your feet like that and kind of hyper extending, the foot, the toe and the heel. So you're flexing your foot as much as you can against your weight and really stretching them. And, do that for a minute, 30 seconds, twice a day, morning and evening. And that'll help stretch out and break up and improve the blood supply there. And it works. So that should be a help to you, Linda. Okay, Garden Fairy to VS. What job is worth one's health? Amen. We don't know who will have a bad reaction. I saw a patient die from J&J. Yes. Well, praise the Lord on that. Let's see, what do I have here? I always bring some articles in case we get a little low, and we have a few minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is bring up the most recent news from June 24th, 25, 27. There just came out an article in the Lancet, and where is that? So this is the Lancet article, and this was published June 23. And basically the title of the Lancet article, get my fingers off of there. And this is Global Impact of the First Year of COVID-19 Vaccination a mathematical modeling study. And what this goes through is their assumptions and their math to fit in to a proposition that the vaccine saved upwards of 20-some million lives over the past 1 year. So that's the argument that this Lancet publication is going to put forth. This is such soft observational. One of the lowest forms of scientific studies are these modeling, mathematical, and observation studies. So now that this is out, now you're getting the critiques of it. And if you go to brownstone.org, brownstone.org, and this is for June 27th, today. It just came out today. I read this by Bhaskaran Raman. And who is Bhaskaran Raman? He is faculty at the Department of Computer Science Engineering at IIT Bombay in India. And so he's a engineer, computer engineer, mathematician kind of a guy, a numbers man. And he looks at these numbers in the Lancet. And I'm going to just read you a statement here. The modeling study necessarily incorporates various important parameters, but a close look reveals that much of the critical parameters are based on assumptions which are known in the literature to be wrong. And the table summarizes this. So he puts out a table on the next page listing the failed assumptions. Immunity after natural infection is robust and long-lasting. And so these people would have lived, and they assumed that they would die at a natural pandemic death rate, and that's just not true. The study cited for its this 27% number is interpreted incorrectly. The cohort study, well, that's some of the assumptions of the rate of deaths to be expected. So if you can throw away natural immunity, which they're trying to do, then you can prop up this lie that it probably saved 20 million lives. They have to use anything written by anybody to try and make that shot look palatable. Then there's another thing written by Roger Coops. And who is Roger Coops? Roger Coops holds a PhD in chemistry from the University of California at Riverside, as well as a master's and bachelor degree from Western Washington University, and worked in pharmaceutical biotechnology for over 25 years. So he goes through a critique of this new statement that allegedly these vaccines would have saved 20 million lives. And then he goes through point after point very similarly, but from another university, from another point of view, and just points out that science is very good when it's really, truly peer-reviewed, and not in, apparently now the Lancet is a bought and paid for captured paper with retractions now this year for publishing foolishness. So that's another one. And then the last one I had was from Ewan Callaway. And this one is about the robustness. Well, let me go to the front here. This is about the robustness of your immune system if you had COVID, how long-lasting and durable it is. This was published May 27th, so this is a month ago. People who recovered from mild COVID-19 have bone marrow cells that can churn out antibodies for decades. Although viral variants could dampen some of the protection they offer, but you have tremendous ability to fight it off if you take care of yourself. So this is an article about the robustness of the immune system that these critics that say the Lancet is blowing up numbers to try and falsely make claims that because of the vaccination, 20 million people plus saved their lives. And the math is all fluff. And so, let's see. Via says, hey, Garden Fairy, I know, right? I live in India. It's just that they asked vaccination status for flight booking for a while. I don't know about it now. Well, you know, in India, VS, the population studies of the virus showed that the Indian people, and there were areas where some of the provinces had ivermectin given out as a preventative, and there was an absolute drop-off of the death rates and hospitalizations, and that's, of course, what we're really concerned about in a pandemic. And so in a crowded nation like India, and in the making available over-the-counter ivermectin, and seeing the dramatic difference between India compared to other nations like the United States and England with our higher rates, it's just very clear that there's other treatments that very clearly saved lives, and it wasn't any shot they got in their arm that did this for them. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we will say then, we've probably covered what we can. I'll try and tell Talon to put this here and under the notes and get that set up, and I'll save these others that I have for next Monday if there isn't any new hot material. Looks like one more question came in. Is povidone iodine okay to put on a thrombosed hemorrhoid? Yes, absolutely. Seems like blood clots are releasing and the lump is reducing in size. Yeah, absolutely. That's totally fine to use, and it's antiviral bacterial as well. All right, my dear TLC Health Freedom Tribe. Let's see you next Monday night at 6 o'clock in the evening. That's going to be 4th of July. Boy, we're out here on all the days off. And we will be here on the 4th of July. I will anyway. And just plodding through. And so like and subscribe, share this with others, make a comment. I try to look and see if there's comments, and we'll go from there. God bless everyone.